Yo, 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 yep. Mic, check 1, 2. Hello, hello.
Hola, hola, ¿cómo estás?
All right, ready?
Yep.
Hello and welcome to episode 393 of the Center Ring Esports podcast. And this is going to be the best episode ever because it is our first time in a long time to do 2 episodes in 1 week. So we'll see how this one goes. We are talking some Call of Duty League to be more specific. And we have a TCR reviews as we sat down and powered through episode 1 and then some of the new Resident Evil show on Netflix. And of course, a little bit of e-news to sprinkle in as well towards the end. But before we get to that, let me tell you about the show sponsor. It is your mom.
Hey, this is Ian Crimsix Porter, and you're listening to The Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome. Welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. This is episode 393, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, 7/20/2022. The time is 8:48 p.m. Central Time. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring and join our Discord. Come play games with us. We're always on. Dabbling back into WoW, prepping for the new expansion. It is shout out. No free shout outs. Not double XP, 50% XP, right?
Oh yeah, 50% XP.
50% XP boost for the next 2 weeks. So, if you're looking to get
Is
back
it just
in
the next 2 weeks? I thought it was till the start of the expansion.
I thought it was to the next. Okay. At this very moment, it's 50% XP boost. I thought it was just for 2 weeks, but maybe it's to the next expansion. But you can confirm that yourself through Google. Either way, if you're wanting to get into WoW, this is the good time to do it because you can level up, no joke, like in a day or two. So you can try out every class you want and pretty much get max level all within a week. So this is when you want to do it. My name is Tim. I will be your captain through this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, it's my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
What's up, dude? Feels weird to be doing a second episode, I should say. I'm like, wait a minute, we gotta find esports info here in 2 days.
It's it feels weird, but I'm not gonna. It feels good. It feels good knowing that we're only doing it for like a month. You know, like I can mentally get around doing 2 episodes a week if it's like, okay, we're only doing this for like 3 weeks and then we can take a break. Because like already I was like scrambling to try to be like, I have like no time to do things. Like this was like my laundry day, you know. I was gonna work out, but damn it, now I can't. Ugh. But
It's the worst. It's the worst.
What will I do?
But how are you gonna get over this?
How will I survive?
By the way, I gotta make a correction. You're right. It's until August 2nd.
It's like
until the
patch
start of season 4. I thought it was set to the end of season 4. That is good to know. I'm glad you mentioned that, Tim, because I need to make sure I take full advantage here.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much whatever class you were thinking about, just get in and do a sample size because this is when you can get them as high as you can. I was actually going to re-up my sub now that I hit 20 on the Warrior. I'm like, oh, well. But now I'm thinking, well, if I really want to max out the free-to-play aspect, I could just level up each class to 20 and then...
But that's not even, like, worth it. You should just,
right. No, I
get
know.
it knocked out because the later levels, like 50 to 60, is where that 50% boost is, like, really
Yeah, because that's the grind, right?
Yeah.
That's the grind. And with the 50% boost, I mean, I wouldn't really even feel the sample size, right? Because it wouldn't.
Yeah, 0 to 20 is like that anyway. So they're trying to get you to resub is what they're doing here. It's gonna work.
I mean, it's already working.
Yeah, it's already working.
Don't worry, Blizzard. You got my money this time. You got my money this time. So there you have it. What were you talking about? I was gonna bring something. You mentioned 2 shows a week. I think that's it. I was gonna say
Got
something.
2 shows a week for probably the next 2-3 weeks here.
Yeah,
We'll kind of iron those out. I know we're gonna do 2 next week.
for sure.
And then the third week, we'll figure out if it's going to be that week or another week.
So that being said, shout out to the listener. This is a casting call to our listeners. If there was ever a topic, you're like, damn, I just wish you guys would always have talked about this. And not so much a game, unless you wanted our opinion of the game. But like, oh, I always wanted to hear your guys' opinion on maybe the future, your opinion of the future of esports, or this esport in particular. You let us know, because this is the time to do it. Because we're pounding out episodes to get to 400. Then we're going to take our break. Who knows when we'll return. But this is the time to do it. So hit us up on Discord or wherever you can. And
I'm already ready for the League of Legends comments to come up.
That's like, don't ask us to be like, hey, can you guys like break down the Apex tournament coming up? Like, that's not going to happen. Like, me mentioning it would be my entire breakdown of it.
Now that you mentioned it, I have something to add to eNews.
Oh,
thank you.
there you go. That's what we do. So yeah, there you have it. No yikes of the week today, because as we always, when it is 2 episodes, Anuj had to remind me. I thought we always did yikes of the week every episode, but I guess we did always do it Monday. Now that you mention it,
Yikes of the week, you know?
yeah, no, that does make sense. That makes sense. Do you want to start with Resident Evil first?
Let's go ahead and knock that out.
Because it's fresh on our brain. So, homework, if everyone did their homework, we said we're going to do a TCR reviews. We haven't done one in a while. This started out as documentaries, where we said, hey, let's just pick esports, video game related documentaries and watch those. We'll talk about it and review it on the show. Well, then we screwed up because we watched Smash Bros. I think that's what it's called, right? Smash Bros?
The Smash Brothers.
The Smash Brothers. Which we definitely did not save the best for last. We actually did the best first. And so it just kind of set the bar really high. And then after doing like 4 more documentaries, we were like, damn, esports kind of sucks at making documentaries.
We realized that there was really only one good document, or one that we've truly, truly enjoyed, I should say.
Yeah,
like,
the rest
that was just start to finish. I was hooked.
Yeah, like I watched him. There's like 7 parts or whatever, and I watched them all in like 2 days.
Yeah.
The others, I was like, whew, this is an hour and a half is taking me like a week to finish. This is rough. So then we started sprinkling in like just shows and things like that. So Resident Evil, the new show, which is called Resident Evil, is on Netflix. Don't get confused with the other Resident Evil show on Netflix, also called Resident Evil, because that's like a CGI animated one.
Yeah.
Then there's the Resident Evil, the movie, but that's not. So this is Resident Evil, the new show. Just look at the release date. I think at the moment it's in the top 10. So that's the one we did. So this one here, it's not based off of, as far as my knowledge goes, I'm sure there's like some hardcore fan or something yelling at us, but I don't believe this is based off of anything in the game other than like the broad storyline.
Yeah.
But this
takes place like 14 years after.
This is in New Raccoon City.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this isn't Jill. This isn't, based off the movies or anything like that. So new venture, always risky in my opinion, because you got expectations going in thinking, oh, this is Resident Evil. I'm ready. I'm jacked. And then you're like, It's like...
Well, they also had like some good executive producers on it. There was, the main actor I like, as like...
Which one? The chick or the...
No,
the guy?
Yeah, the guy the dad. I'm trying to think of his name.
I'm trying to look for his actual name here. Hold, please. The guy from Destiny.
He's also done like a lot of good shows.
Lance Reddick playing Albert Wesker.
He is like a good actor. I like him.
That dude, if I could pay him all the money that we've earned from this podcast just to read bedtime stories to me. I would like his voice is so perfect for just anything he does.
But I also associate his voice with like turmoil, because like whatever he's in, there's like he's like some sort of agent, or
Yeah.
like there's just like shit going on.
Well, and so
stuff.
he's the Titan Vanguard in Destiny.
Yeah,
So he's like the head of the Titan. So if you've played Destiny 1 or 2, that's the voice actor. And you are correct. Like whether it's Destiny, Resident Evil, or anything else he's in, kind of plays the same guy in all of them. Just like the very serious, very broody, like a man's man type of guy.
for sure. Like you could see him as like he would fit any cop show really well.
Right.
You know, like he would be a lead detective or the sergeant, like perfect for that kind of stuff. You know, he's in John Wick as well, and good career. Like I said, I like him.
I'm not. Yeah,
And
we're not
so-
knocking him. I think he's incredible.
No, he does a
But
good job, and
he
he's
is the A-list celebrity on the show.
the only one that I've seen so far.
Yeah, like he's the only one that I've seen on the show where I'm like, oh, I know who you are. Like
Yeah.
I've seen you before. Not like that knocks the show or anything, but we're just saying.
But yeah, so I mean, this takes place 14 years into the future, and it gives you a new storyline and new character, like to me, new characters at least. And how do we want to start this? Like, where do we want to just give our thoughts, you know, and what we think about it? I mean, we're not gonna tell you the story because we don't want to spoil it for some of you.
I mean,
that
well,
haven't
also spoiler alert, we only watched the first episode.
episode and 3/4.
You started episode 2, correct?
Yeah. This is really like a too early impressions for us.
A too soon review on Resident Evil, the Netflix show.
Yeah.
Overall, I would say it's about what I expected. I wasn't completely blown away. For whatever reason, it just seems, because I knew this was, yes, it's a Netflix, it's on Netflix, and it's a Netflix quote unquote original. But this, I don't believe, and I was trying to find the production studio behind it. I cannot find it anywhere on the internet. But I don't think it's Netflix's production studio. So like what Netflix does is they'll have their own studio, which has done like Ozark and Stranger Things and, you know, the big ones. And then what they started doing, so they could just get all these shows on Netflix, was basically purchase the rights for these shows and let other people produce them mainly. And I think that's where this one falls under. You can definitely feel it while watching it. I don't know what this says about the show. This is either a very bad complaint about the show or a really good compliment to YouTube. It almost feels like, remember back in the day, like when you would see like a fan-made show on YouTube, like there was like that Mortal Kombat one that was really like whatever. Yeah. This almost feels like a fan-made Resident Evil show. Not saying it's a bad thing. It just it didn't have that major production oomph that I was waiting for.
It feels, so a couple things to me is it feels cheap. Like I just can tell I'm watching something doesn't have James Cameron Avatar budgeting. Okay. Like you can clearly tell that. And the dialogue for me is like, they try to be too like woke, you know, like that's how a lot of new series are, is they want to appeal to the woke crowd, and that's what they do. And that's kind of what you get here a little bit. Right. And it's not to say that doesn't fit for everybody, but I can like feel it while I'm watching.
You feel like they're going out of their way to say certain things where it's like
beyond like the strong, powerful female woman also has to be a lesbian, you know, like that. Those have to go hand in hand. And like, she can't be, you know, can't be straight or, you know, and it's not that we have anything against lesbians. It's just like, they have to do all of this to be like really woke in their like statement that they're making. And to me, that feels like you're just trying too hard. It doesn't always feel natural in the way that it's done. One of the girls, like one of the daughters, there's 2 daughters. One of them is the main actress, Jade, in the show. And then the other one is
Billy.
Billy. Okay. let's talk about this for 2 seconds. This was so irritating. Billy looks like Billie Eilish, right? The white little front.
You know what's funny
hair
is I
color.
did not think of that until you're just now saying it, but you're absolutely right.
They introed her
With
to the
Billie
Billie
Eilish.
Eilish song. She's got the Billie Eilish look, and her name is freaking Billie. And to me, that's like all these things. Like, I know they knew what they were doing. Like, it's exact Billie Eilish replica.
Like they
okay?
just wanted that one retweet or something from the Billie Eilish fans on.
Sure, yeah, like whatever it was, and they introed the girl in the show to a Billie Eilish song, like stuff like that. Like I'm trying to get.
You know, I didn't even realize that until you said it, but and I remember hearing, oh, it's Billie Eilish in this movie, in the show.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely, you're 1000% correct.
I was like trying to get past some of this stuff, but like the problem is when I'm watching these shows, man, I want to get into it. I want to like feel the show around me. I want it to feel, I want to have the vibe of Resident Evil, a little bit of anxiousness on my seat at all times, wondering what's going to happen. And like all I can see are these little things taking that away from me. And so like that part bothered me. Now I want to just say this because I don't want people to think that I'm straight hating on this show. Some of the things I didn't like
it's
what's right. I mean,
no, you're right. Look, for me, and like I said, it's an okay show at the moment. I think I will finish it, but it's not going to be like right now. My wife and I are watching Ozark for the first time. We're a couple episodes in season 4, which is the last season, so we're almost done with it.
You're not taking a break.
An incredible show, and yes, we're not. I mean, the other night you were like, "Are you going to get on tonight?" And I was like, "Bro, I can't." Because I know my wife really wants to watch Ozark. She's not going to wait for me if I'm like, I'm going to go play video games. So
and once you're behind, it's over.
Right. So it's like, but it's like, because it's that good of a show, I don't mind. And we're going to power through it because it's that good. It doesn't even feel like you're powering through it. So that
I knew what you were trying to say.
That's a tough one. Powering? Yeah. That's not even a word. So I don't know. You got me though.
Yeah, I got you.
Resident Evil is not going to be that show. This is I'm going to watch one episode a week, maybe, right? Because I'll tell you what, the scene in the first episode that took me absolutely out of it, like almost had to turn the thing off. The cafeteria scene.
Yeah.
That was so over the top, forced confrontational acting where you have this chick who seems a little bit off to begin with, but she's also supposed to be like the bully. So she's bullying Billy, and she was like, "So you're a freak?" And Billy's like, "Well, no." And then she was like, "What does your shirt mean?" "I'm a vegan." What? And then she was like, and of course, then she makes a snobby comment about being vegan, and she's like, "I just don't eat animals." I'm like, who talks like this? What? This is not a natural dialogue. This is not a natural conversation. And then there was like
stupid because again, it's like also forcing that confrontation. It felt so like there was no reason for them. Who beefs like that? Right. Like that's just not how it works.
This random chick walks up to this random chick eating in the cafeteria at school and just thought, I'm choosing chaos today.
Like, I'm going to beat the shit out of her right here in the middle of the cafeteria.
And then like she did like the over-aggressive.
They should have made them friends because they were both that emo sort of.
Yeah, they were both weird.
Like they would have both been BFFs. Like let's be real, like that's just not.
I thought that was funny. The over-aggressive flipping her off. I thought that was funny.
And if you want to know how women are mean to each other, you watch Mean Girls as a real representation. It's not
right.
It's not this beating the crap out of each other in the middle of the cafeteria. So like that stuff to me again is just like that's bad writing. Honestly, like it's lazy.
I feel like that's
writing.
I feel like that's what it is. Like I can get behind. Don't get me like I watch CW shows, right? Like I've watched The Flash and The Arrows. I can get past low production. I don't blame shows on low production. You work with what you got. Netflix was not trying to make this the next Stranger Things, so you're not getting everything out of it. I understand that. But the writing, I mean, just because you're a cheap writer doesn't mean you have to, like, write dialogue like they're robots.
But that's why they're cheap writers, because that's what they write. Like
it's
to
just
them, that's good dialogue, you know.
yeah. It's just that, and then like when they got home after the fight, let me tell you
Like
what.
the story though, as a whole, is like okay. I'm like semi interested to see where it goes. Right, like
Right.
maybe it gets better
Now,
as we go
can
into
we
it.
can we just say time out for a second? Do you like Resident Evil storylines in the game?
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I've only played 1 and 2, so I haven't even. There's like 7 games now
Yeah.
or something
So
like
I'm gonna be
that. So
honest with you. I've only played 1, 2, and 4. So I'm kind of there with you. I don't like. First off, I feel like the zombies have been overdone, right? Like, no offense, Resident Evil, you're part of it, but you can't rely on zombies being like the tension setter, I guess, at this point, especially like in the Resident Evil world. I'm not a big fan of like the sci-fi aspect that they bring in either. I feel like that takes out a lot of like the horror zombie people's aspect of it, you know?
They made the zombies though like Walking Dead. You know what I'm saying? Like they're
Yeah.
more like they're zombies where like in Resident Evil 1 there were mutations. You know, they were dead
Right.
and there was like mutations involved and they felt so scary, right? There didn't have to be hordes of them everywhere. If there was even like 2 or 3 in a room, that was like terrifying and it gave you that sense of suspense and trying to get outside at night to avoid these situations, you know, and like it's just you don't have that same feel. This is 14 years later and it's not meant to be that way, so I understand that. I would have preferred them as a fan of the Resident Evil genre. Okay, I'm not a diehard fan. I'm just a fan. I like it. I would have preferred them to just go and take like Resident Evil 1 and kind of start from there. You know, I know the movies kind of tried to do that, but the movies were like also super cheesy.
They
You know, I
were.
would like
They were.
somebody to make it a little bit more like serious, gritty, um just the feel of give you the feel of being in that environment. That's what I kind of wanted to see.
So you know the difference that I think Resident Evil does that other zombies shows or movies don't do is Resident Evil tries to make it an action movie with zombies in it. Like they do, like you know, like go back and watch Walking Dead or another, you know, what's it, 13 nights, days, whatever that one was. Like it's not like you don't have people like doing backflips and like jumping over cars with crazy action shot camera angles.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it kills the suspense because now you're not in a suspenseful movie, you're in an action movie with zombies chasing this person. So it does take away from that a little bit. But again, that's how the movies were. I guess that is just how cinema views Resident Evil, right? Which is weird because you go and watch like Resident Evil 4 or play Resident Evil 4 or like the newer ones, like Resident Evil, what was it, 7? And then isn't there 8 now? The Resident Evil 8, I think, just came out. That was the latest one.
Probably.
They're terrifying. Like they are like
horror games.
They are back to the roots of being a horror game and scaring you off of those elements and less of the sci-fi whatever aspect of it.
I just feel like they would do better if they took that approach to
I agree.
this TV side of it, like taking it more of a drama versus like an action fighter show. Like the drama seems to be a very secondary part to it, and the action is kind of like, oh, let's shoot everything up and like you said, do all this crazy stuff and big explosions. It just feels, you know, again, I don't get immersed the way I would like to in that world, and so. Yeah, you're right. Even the zombie genre is like overdone and oversaturated right now, but I still feel like, again, a good Resident Evil show.
Everyone's waiting for a good Resident Evil.
Yeah.
And
so I don't think it's coming.
Although this is an okay show, this is not the Resident Evil show I think people were hoping for when they heard Netflix was, oh, wow, Netflix is doing Resident Evil. This feels like Netflix just paid a lot of money to get the licensing of Resident Evil.
Yeah.
It's not as
like we're selling the name, not the product.
Right. Other than that, the only note that I have was after that cafeteria fight when Jade walked into the house and her dad was on a business call and she was like just immediately yelled the F-bomb at him and slapped the camera out of the way. It's like, whoa. Like,
Shit, I'm having a daughter here pretty soon. Is this what it's actually like?
Maybe not far off. Yeah, I was like, that's pretty intense. But yeah, like I said, I'll probably watch episode 2, and I might finish the show. I'm on such a backlog though, especially I don't know. The Netflix shows, when Netflix announced all these video game shows, hopes were high.
It's better than Halo.
Well, yeah, better than Halo. So far, if I had to power rank the video game shows, if we're just gonna throw Halo in there, Halo's at the bottom. The Witcher is actually good. I actually enjoy The Witcher.
People like The Witcher.
Yep, I enjoy The Witcher. I did not. Did you ever watch the League of Legends one?
I watched only same thing.
Couple episodes. It didn't hook me. No, I'm not a League guy, so I wasn't even interested.
I think that was more the issues. I didn't
care about the people.
Yeah.
Though I am more of a Dota guy, but I haven't gone back to watch season 2 of Dota. Castlevania was an awesome show. Castlevania is actually might be their best. They are coming out with the Tekken one is coming out soon. So I don't know.
If they make that like an anime, that might have a chance.
It is. It's a Tekken anime. Yeah. So, I think they're coming out with that Yu Yu Hakusho live action. I don't know how that's gonna work out, but the Cowboy Bebop one. What's funny is I thought I was so hesitant on the Cowboy Bebop show before it came out, and then it came out, and I actually enjoyed it, and everyone else hated it, and now we're not even getting a season 2 of that. And I'm like, well, shit. All right, maybe I don't know what's good or bad, but I know Wolf in chat says that new Predator movie coming out on Hulu called Prey, that actually looks really good.
Okay, I can get with that. I can give that a shot. Well, I saw there was
It's like the Predators, but they're in like old time. So this is before, like they're fighting like Native Americans and shit.
Did the Cuphead show come out yet on Netflix?
Oh, yeah, the Cuphead show's really good, and I watch it all the time with my kids. Even though my wife doesn't like that I watch it with my kids, I do watch it with them. It's not that it's inappropriate, but it's like if you're a mom, you know how moms always think everything's super inappropriate? It's like that.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen it, but saw the trailer.
It's good. I mean, it's a kid, it's a cartoon, but it's good. It's good. Resident Evil, back to Resident Evil. Right now, my too soon review is it's okay.
Yeah, like out of 5 stars, what are you giving it right now for one episode 1?
Episode 1, I'm going to give it a solid out of 5, 2.5.
You know what? That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. I feel like 2 is too harsh. 3...
2 feels a little too harsh. It could be a 2, I guess, but 2.5 seems fair. There's like we'll say Lance Reddick gets it that extra half star.
Yeah. Because you're not a 3. A 3 means you're above
pretty
average, right?
Yeah.
You're not. You're 2.5.
You're a pretty typical average Netflix show that we have seen over the past couple years from Netflix.
Yeah, like this is,
and I know like whether it's bought by Netflix or made by Netflix, like
this is a CW level show. So if you've ever watched The Flash or Arrow or any of those type of shows on CW, that's
perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It feels very much like that. So, I'll finish it, but I don't see.
Let's not knock CW though. One Tree Hill, baby. That's
Smallville, the classics. All right, so there it is. Resident Evil episode 1 so far. Not like we're gonna review episode 2 or 3 or anything like that. That was just a way to kill a segment on a Wednesday show, but.
And we both saw it, so we're like, let's talk about it.
Yeah, well, we figured we got like 8 episodes left. Let's just knock out all these type of segments that we haven't done in a while. So let's watch Resident Evil. And it's okay. It's okay. Let's talk about a game, Anuj, that we haven't talked about, man, maybe since stage 1 of this year. Stage 4 just wrapped up, and of course we're talking about the Call of Duty League. We don't have to necessarily just keep this to Major 4 because, like I said, I don't think we've really talked about it all that much.
Well, and now we're also done with the majors heading into Champs, right?
Yeah, so we are heading into Champs, Champs is coming up August 4th through the 7th. So,
yeah, they'll get one of our last episodes. So we'll get a Call of Duty again here at some point, especially with Counter-Strike and all that on hiatus. So yeah, this can be we're going to talk about stage 4 a little bit, but really this is going to be just kind of our thoughts on the season up until champs. This is where we're at. And it has been, look, we've made it pretty clear. Our thoughts on Vanguard as a whole, we don't like the game, right? We didn't really play it. We played the beta, kind of dabbled in it a little bit. It wasn't our style of COD, so we never fell in love with the game, and it also then made us not really love or enjoy watching CDL as much as we have in the past, right? Like CDL it's still good because I like the players, but I don't like the game. So that makes it kind of hard for me to like fall in love with the esport. And I wish it was a game that I did like, because this season's been so unique in the sense of 4 different major winners as of now with stage 4, just getting wrapped up. Like
like imagine prior to the season, if you were to make a bet saying that you would have 4 different major winners and not a single one of them being FaZe.
It would have been...
You would have put all of your bank account on that, saying like, absolutely, like FaZe will win a major.
And like here they are heading into champs, still the favorite. Right? Like, wouldn't you say they're still the favorite? They still had the best overall season out of anybody. Killed it in CDL points this year. They won by almost 70, 80 points.
They were second place in 3 majors. They were second place in 3 of the 4 and third place in the 4th.
Yeah, so, their series win-loss for the season, 28-13, map win-loss 102-70. Like, having a great year, unable to close out the big events with still a chance to kind of redeem themselves as a whole, because this would put them in some pretty rare company if they were able to get this major, right? That'd be like 3 for most of these guys on the squad, or at least for the Tiny Terrors, I believe. So this could put them in some pretty rare company by taking champs. But this particular stage was interesting because like this whole season has been we've talked about subliners when we have talked about Call of Duty, right? Like that's come up with the whole drama with Clayster, getting dropped and them really just being unable to fill a consistent 4 throughout the year. And then some of the shortcomings of 100 Thieves, right? The lost LA Thieves. And that's with them bringing Octane back and doing the Octane Kenny setup. And like they were unable to kind of break through. And here we are, stage 4, coming up on champs. And the 2 teams here at the end are LA Thieves and Subliners. Like, it just shows how crazy the season can be, And we saw this even earlier in the year. Who was it? Standy. And then they had that one substitute that came in that killed it. I forgot who it was at the time.
Gorillas, right? Spart.
Yeah, Spart.
He filled in, and then he...
basically got MVP for that event.
And then benched.
So it's like these teams that have kind of, we looked at as like on the bottom half coming into the season. LA Thieves, I think we all thought would do well, but they just didn't play that way early on. These guys are standing here at the end and putting them in position to not only take a major, but like get it at the perfect time. Like, what better time to get hot than heading into champs? And now you look at LA Thieves wondering, well, look, they didn't have a terrible season, finished in 3rd overall, had a plus-minus on the win series, although barely, but still had a plus-minus. And Kenny looked like Kenny of old. Octane was coming up clutch for him. So you start to wonder, like, heading into champs, how many teams do we think are really in the mix to take the title?
Honestly, my fear in this is because as great as those storylines are, the opposite side of that coin, the monkey paw effect of this scenario where you have any team could win a major, right? The monkey paw to that is inconsistency on the back end, right? So like, for example, you mentioned LA Gladiators or LA Gladiators, LA Gorillas, LA Gladiators.
Overwatch.
LA Gorillas, they're not even in the champs, right? They won. They're the only team to have won a major and not make champs, which I don't know if I like, by the way. I think if you win a major, you should probably get an automatic invite to the champs, but much like in racing, in NASCAR, if you win a race. But I digress. I'm not going to argue about
And
the
imagine that would have meant Krim sitting on the side, right? Subliners didn't win a major this year, did they?
No.
Who won the majors this year? We had Optic.
Optic
LA,
won the first one.
Gorillas.
LA Gorillas. Then you had Seattle.
Oh yeah, Seattle.
And now
Thieves. So
yeah.
you would have had subliners out in that scenario because Gorillas would have gone in, last one would have fallen out, and that means Krim wouldn't have a chance to compete at champs. Like there would have been a whole other uproar.
And I don't necessarily hate that. And now you would have had people bitching because, hey, Gorillas suck all year and they get hot for one event and they get in. Yeah, but they did get hot and won a major, so I just like
wouldn't
the
mind that
drama.
if there was like 2 majors a year. But with 4 majors a year, you're putting yourself in position for like teams that truly don't belong to like not to say that this would have ever happened, but like Legion getting hot for one event and picking up a major win and getting an automatic invite when their season series record is 2-23. Like that would have been disappointing. Now, Gorillas, they were much closer to 500. They were right there. 8, 9, and 10
Right.
were all.
They were 5 points out of playoffs.
Yeah, 8, 9, 10, and 11 actually were all kind of right there in contention at the end of this. But I'm okay with the season holding some value.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily.
4 out of
mind
the 8
it.
teams are selected from the majors. Like
that's half the playoff
half
teams.
of your playoff teams, and so the season kind of loses a lot of, like, people will save strats purely for the major because that might be their only and best chance to get in. And I'd rather the season hold a little bit more value.
So speaking of going back though to inconsistency, right? So now we have, like we said, we have all these major winners. Some of them haven't even made it into champs. You have some that have been just not performing well lately. I think of like Optic, right? Optic looked so strong. They ended the season in second place, but then they've had Illy out with the thumb issues, right? To no fault of his own, but that obviously has affected them. And even with him being back for the 4th major, they didn't look like what they did in the beginning. So you hope between now and August, like he's playing, but is his thumbs what they used to be, which sounds kind of funny, just out loud.
It almost sounds like somebody coming back from like an Achilles injury. Like,
but it's true, right?
Is he going to be able to have the same takeoff?
Right?
Is he fully healed, right? Like, we don't know. Is he coming back early? Is he still playing with an injury? He was the lowest performing player on the team.
Like, if your thumbs are sore, that would be brutal. Like,
no, for sure. Like, we don't know. We don't know how injured he is.
Of course
still,
not.
And like, that's anybody's guess. But they cleared him to play, so that his performance is on him, right? Because if you're not healthy and you're pushing through, then you're hurting your team. Either way, he was the lowest rated player on their team for this event. You kind of hope that he regains form heading into champs. But I do think we are set up now with all the inconsistencies. I still feel like we are heading for an Optic Atlanta FaZe showdown in the finals. Like, to me, I'm still getting that gut feeling that your 2 best teams throughout the year are still our favorites by a margin, right? Maybe not the biggest margin, but like there is a gap between them and the rest of the playing field that we've seen throughout the year. And we know that hasn't translated to the majors. For Optic, it did early, but it's been a while now, right? Like that was like early in the season they got their win. I feel like both of them still are driving the numbers for CDL, and we would love to see them in the finals. But I still think they're the 2 best teams. Like, even now, coming out of this major, I still think going into champs, hey, like, I would be surprised if FaZe was not in the finals. I might not be as surprised if Optic doesn't make it, but I still think they will. Like, I still think they are lined up nicely. I felt like they made some odd map choice picks for stage 4, whether they wanted Bo-Katan to be used here. Like that's not something that they've been very good at on that hard point. They played it instead of, I think it's like, what was it, Berlin or whatever the other map name is. I'm drawing a blank on it. But I feel like they're kind of saving some stuff for champs that they feel more confident on. And I think it's because that's all that matters to that team. Just like for FaZe, like I don't think FaZe is sitting here thinking, oh man, like this has been a failure of a season. Like I think they're thinking like, hey, let's go get another ring and literally shut everybody up. Like a couple of us will have 3 on our fingers, some of them will have 2. I mean, they're poised to start getting into Destiny era, Dynasty era with another champs win. And that's without taking a major. So I think we're still poised to see the 2 best teams meeting head to head going into champs. But there's a case to be made for like LA Thieves, I think, a little bit in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure. It's, like I said, I mean, it's just, I agree with you. I think FaZe and Optic would still be your favorites going in. However, Optic would be my nervous pick. FaZe would be like your safe pick, but at the same time, not winning a major this year. And although this will sound crazy, because they are obviously have been consistently the best every year, this is not the first time we're having this conversation about FaZe where you're like, okay, dudes, you're like the best in the league. Why can't you win? Like, why can't you win the tournaments? Like, you do fine at being first in the league, but you can't win the events, right? Like, we've seen them, I mean, hell, with season 1, and it's, we've like, just seen it date back this way.
There's like, in some cases, they've lost to people that had home court advantage. It's also like being on the stage is like different than how most of the regular season is done. So like there's some of the stuff goes into effect, but like they've been so dominant throughout the year, right? Even without the major wins, only them and Optic have a decent over 500 record. Everybody else for the season is basically at 500. FaZe 28-13, Optic 24-12. Hear me out now. Number 3, Thieves 18-17. 4, Royal Ravens 17-14. 5, Seattle 15-15. Boston 16-16. Ultra 16-18. Subliners 14-15. Nobody else is even really cracking 500. LA Thieves are at like, if they're above 500, they're like if 0.51. Like they are barely breaking that barometer. And so there's only been 2 teams all year consistently winning, at least finding themselves on the winning side of the bracket, and that's Atlanta and Optic. And so it's like if one of them fails to make it, I still think it's considered like a huge blunder. Even though Optic is a riskier pick, I think it still would be like a major blunder to both of those teams after the seasons they've had.
Well, CDL wants them to go in, that's for sure, because it peaked for Major 4. Optic, FaZe versus Optic peaked at 152,000 viewers, which I know doesn't sound like a lot when we just last couple days ago talked about ESL Cologne getting like 1.25 million. But hey, let's not rain on their parade. 152
Tim,
is a lot of
YouTube,
viewers.
Tim. If this was on Twitch, it would have been like 4 million.
That is true. You times everything by like 5 or something. Isn't that the formula? Like if it's on YouTube, just times it by 5, and that's what they would have here. So,
and they're not counting the Chinese viewers in this either. So the numbers are
lower. What's the over and under on people who've played Call of Duty in China?
I don't think it's allowed. Depending on the game and who the bad guy is, it's probably not allowed over there.
Also, the trophy. Did you see the trophy?
Interesting choice by them.
So it was funny because it's funny you say that because Activision thought the same thing as they banned it. Did you know this? That they banned the trophy from broadcast. Yeah. So if you watched, you would never have seen the trophy. There are pictures with them, but they didn't get to do like win it and then go and like lift the trophy up type of picture. Like if you look at the broadcast, that doesn't happen. They're just on stage clapping and hugging. Later, they get the trophy to take pictures with, but it was not on broadcast. Reason being, Activision stated that it was quote unquote too gruesome. Now, if you saw the trophy,
Gruesome and a little offensive, I feel too.
yeah,
Slightly, right? Like if we're gonna knock the Boston Red Sox and the Yankees for doing what they did with like there's a little bit of similarity in like just a disrespectful kind of way. Not in the same sense. I'm not comparing the two in that way, but like there's a little bit of like, okay, this is feels a little disrespectful for that to be your trophy, but I'm not trying to be like the boomer.
So basically, I was going to say,
that.
yeah, that's very boomer opinion of you. But basically what it was the Statue of Liberty head. It was the head of the Statue of Liberty split in two, showing a skull, which I think is just NYXL, which is like the parent company now, not the Overwatch League team. Super confusing. But I guess like if you go on their Twitter, that's like a lot of I'm going to it right now as we speak. That's like their, I guess it looks like maybe like a street graffiti type of logo. So I guess that's what they were trying to go for, but I can definitely see your point where it's like, look, bros, we're trying to be professional organization here. Maybe not have the symbol of freedom split in half with their skull showing. Like
just what happened to like the traditional cup,
and that's what I was gonna say. Like the trophy does look cool, but I am a sucker for the classics, right?
Like just watching, like you mentioned, we just mentioned a moment ago, but Cologne,
classic.
like look at that trophy, and tell me like, isn't that what you want as like a championship trophy? I know it's not the championship trophy,
but it's still, I mean, that is a classic trophy. I love the plates too. Like in tennis, you see it a lot more, but like the plate trophy, love that. I agree with you. I don't like too tricked up trophies. I thought I think it maybe was the Columbus Major that I went to with like the karambits on it. I hated that trophy. I don't like my trophies too tricked up.
No, it was like, I think there was like a PGL or Star Ladder one that broke on stage, like as they were even picking it up, because it just had, maybe it was Blast. I don't know. It was one of them.
It's just
too much. So tricked out. It got picked, like as they picked it up, stuff was just falling off. You could just tell like they glued it together backstage or something.
Yeah.
Give me classic,
I agree.
Maybe that's just coming from the traditional sports world and seeing the Stanley Cup and, the Lombardi Trophy or the NBA's, like they're fairly basic, but I think when you have some consistency and people seeing it, like it means a little bit more. And like these tricked up trophies don't really do it for me.
I think we've talked about esports trophies at one point in time and saying how they just are lacking in that realm. Though the League of Legends trophy, so it's, I guess League of Legends trophy, that's a cup. It's awesome. That's a GOAT. That's a classic. The TI shield, that's awesome. Yep. That's always good for Dota. Like you said, ESL 1 Cologne. I like the Overwatch League trophy. I don't think that's that's not bad.
I don't even remember it.
It's like a silver crown looking thing. It's not bad. It's not bad. But no, yeah, I agree. As far as the trophy goes, it looked a little odd, but whatever. I thought it was a little lame for Activision to ban it, saying it was too gruesome as you're advertising a game that goes around shooting people, but I digress from the logic of corporate America. But either way, like we said, the champs are coming up here in a couple of weeks, so maybe we'll have someone on the show to break down that a little better than we ever could, but we'll save that for later. Until then, let's get into some e-news. In CSGO, actually a good follow-up from just a couple of days ago. I guess this is the pros of doing shows back to twice a week, because we just talked about some of this. G2 is shopping Jax. Vitality looks to move on from Masuda, and Astralis has mentioned that they are not looking at making any roster moves.
All three make sense.
Right. And we specifically mentioned the Astralis, where I could easily see them toughing it out just to see where it goes. But
no, with the Astralis, they say that, But if device becomes available to them at a
could
discounted
change.
price, I promise you they will make that change. Are they actively shopping their players? No, I don't think they are, and I believe them when they say that. But if device is available, and if he's available to them at a cheaper price than what they let him go for, I think that just seems to make too much sense.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone would fault him for it, right? There's you don't have any plans to change until you get the options available. In Valorant, man, or this probably could have been its own topic. Orgs are dropping left and right out of Valorant. Anbox, NYXL, the org we had just mentioned, have pulled out of Valorant. This is all after basically finding out that they're not moving on to the next wave of teams that might be. It's not even like it's just moving on to the next stage, right? So it's not like there's even like there's reports that Cloud9, the big orgs that you would have expected to move on, have moved on to like the second stage of applications. The one org that I saw that which was kind of a surprise to me was the Guard has moved on to the second stage.
Because that's version 1, isn't it?
No, version 1 is version 1. The
Wait,
Guard is the Guard is just, I think they're just their own thing. I just think they know where the bodies are held, or the bodies are buried. I just think
the Guard is owned by somebody. I'm pretty sure.
I think they're owned by like they are owned by someone, but I don't think it's like another esports thing. I think it's just them, and they're owned by.
It's the Cronky Sports Group.
Okay, there you have it.
So that makes a lot of sense.
There you have it. Yeah,
I knew it was somebody because they changed their branding for Valorant.
Okay.
And so yeah, Cronky Sports, yes, have a chance.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I know a lot of orgs have been told that they're not making it. I know a lot of people are like either A, surprised, B, upset and disappointed, and saying that Riot is killing Valorant and it's gonna suck that it's always just these big orgs that make it in because it was fun seeing the smaller orgs have a chance to compete. I say to that, what did you think was going to happen?
like
Like
it is going to be the biggest the biggest name players that can also help, like, so let's say Cronky Sports, right, in entertainment. What can they provide that 90% of other owners cannot? A top-notch 100,000 seat venue at some point in the future for a major, right? In LA, in the heart of LA, he has one of the best arenas in all of sports, if not the best, right? Like there's leverage. There's some leverage for everyone here involved, and it makes sense for the big boys to get in. Like that's just what's going to happen. So don't feel bad, because I'm telling you, 90% of these owners
knew it. They knew.
If they didn't know, then I'd hate to say it like this, but then they were a little oblivious to read the writing on the wall.
Did you really think there was going to be charity work given out? Like there's no charity. There's 8 to 10 spots. Like there is no room for charity when it comes to this. Now maybe later on, right? Maybe later on, but again, like I just
there's no point in coming in here and burning bridges after you don't get selected right now, because you're right. There's probably going to be additions if things go well. There's multiple regions. Maybe you can apply for a team in another region if that's something that you choose to do. Again, down the line possibly or whatever. And then there's also like people that are affiliated with Riot also have a leg up. And so people have to keep that in mind. Like those relationships are pre-existing relationships. They're probably communicating with a lot of the same business folks within those organizations. And that means something. And I don't blame Riot for favoring people that are in their LEC or whatever.
As I said a few episodes ago, if CLG makes it in, then you knew this thing was rigged from the start, and these orgs never stood a chance. Like
it's not rigged. I just don't think people stand a chance regardless. Like some people don't stand a chance anyway, right? So if like CLG gets in over version 1, like
but CLG
I know people would
only be making it in because their relationship with Riot.
But that's all that it takes.
I know. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, CLG is the one that I would give people a chance to argue for, where it's like, come on, right? Like, this is... I just don't like CLG. I just think they're overhyped as shit, but I digress. A team that they pulled out. So this is kind of a unique situation. SK Gaming, they pulled their application from partnership on the EU side. Now, probably because they were getting the vibe that they weren't going to get accepted anyway, so let's pull out. But also, they are not just pulling out of Valorant, Danuge. They are pulling out of any quote-unquote violent esports. Mainly, this translates to FPS because they still have League of Legends and stuff. So I guess
where their brand was built.
Right. Yeah. So they're not leaving that. That's considered okay.
No, I'm talking about their brand was built in Counter-Strike, wasn't it? Like back in the 1.6 days. Like that's when they're leaving
and they've
the
left
industry that built
for a
them
while.
up.
Like they've been out of Counter-Strike for a while. Now, let me tell you why, because in the article it did state why, and it does make sense because it's all due to the almighty dollar. They're saying that in EU and especially in Germany, which is where they're based out of, it's just way too difficult to get sponsors on board with FPS games. Like they just don't want to be associated with them. Like corporates from outside of the video game world do not want to be associated with a game like Counter-Strike, where it's legit, not even attack defense, it's terrorist versus counter-terrorist, and you're planting a bomb to blow things up.
Okay, so now with them stating that, show me over the next year, I want to just come back and do a show 1 year from now, talking about all the new sponsorships that SK has gotten because they left FPS games. I want to see how this benefits them the way they think it will.
I think it's just them stating that they're out of it, not so much to hopes in getting new sponsors, just to let everyone know, hey, we're not.
Hey, we don't do this, so now come and work with us, right? Like that's what they're saying.
I think it's just them letting fans know that we're not going to spend money on this stuff anymore. Like, don't expect us, because they had a Valorant roster, right? And then they backed out. And I think it was just kind of like a tagline statement of, we're backing out of Valorant and FPS in general, and this is the reason why.
Due to the violence in these games. So now let's see how relevant of an org they're able to stay without being in 3 out of the 5 biggest esports in the world, right? They're kind of barring themselves from.
Right.
So you're going to compete in like League, Dota.
Well, right now they have League,
Rocket League, whatever they're in. You know.
Let me see what I know they have guys in Rocket League and stuff. I mean, it's possible. I guess it's just what's your expectation of your org, right? Like as long as you keep your expectations realistic and know, like, fan-wise, you're probably going to take a hit. But if you can be whatever,
like tomorrow, if they sign Coke and MasterCard, okay, sure, I'm gonna be like, you know what, this was the right business
like
move.
I said, I totally get it though, because at the end of the day, if you're going, you can't have a team if you're not going to have sponsors, and if you're just going to burn money on a Valorant roster or Counter-Strike roster and you're not getting them, right, if for whatever reason. Now again, I would argue the same logic of, like, you're not doing it for, like, to the sponsorships. I'd be like, okay, but this is where we can play, you know, the game of, well, do you look at all the other stuff you sponsor that is very, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's clearly not the best way to go, because if it was, you would see G2, Cloud9, Fnatic, Ninjas in Pajamas, all the biggest orgs out there would probably thinking about doing something similar if it was going to generate them like massive sponsorship money elsewhere, or like, hey, because like said, we have these games, I mean,
they're not German based,
they're not jumping ship. So this is an odd, they worded it that way. They were not getting invited. They're probably a little salty. They don't have a Counter-Strike
I just
team
think
anyway.
It's their way of saying,
now they're not
going
to have a Valorant team, so hey, we can sound good on a PR release.
Right, that's what I think. It's their way of saying we're done with it. But again, the other teams you mentioned weren't. They specifically said in Germany, it's just difficult to get the sponsors. So,
like, I agree. Navi get kicked out of their contract and reach out to SK. Hey, like, do you want to sign Simple?
Right.
Bet they would jump on
like,
that.
Now being good helps anything, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what it was. Is had they gotten accepted to the partner, what they should have worded it as was, being a tier 2 team is difficult to get sponsorships on a violent game. Had you been accepted to the Riot Partnership League, you would have gotten a lot of sponsorships.
You don't think they would have stayed if Riot had invited them?
That's what I'm saying. I think they would.
No,
have.
I know, exactly. They would have, yeah.
So there's that. RIP to SK. Stay hard. In other FPS news, Halo teams are still waiting on payments from Anaheim.
Can't even get PayPal right over there, dude.
It's because they haven't made any money on their $20 gun skin. No one's buying it. They don't have it. Rumors.
Season of the Wolves release. I guess we should mention that, huh? Or whatever it is. Didn't that just come out?
Like the solo Lone Wolf or whatever
Lone
they're
Wolf,
calling
whatever
it.
it
I
is.
don't know, bro. Halo's so far off my radar. Sad. It's just sad. Rumors are a few teams, including partnered ones, are going to drop from Halo, which, again, we're talking finance, right? This is all finance driven. If they're not making money out of it, they can't stick around.
Like, you're better off putting that money elsewhere.
Right.
Because the Halo players, depending on who you have on your team, are probably also not cheap, right? It's not because the game is good, all of a sudden Snipe Down is going to take a $20,000 a year salary because he understands the economic situation, you know? So, yeah, I mean, it's not surprising to see teams considering leaving. And I'm sure, like, some of the big names will stay just to have the branding within Halo, and as more teams leave, salaries will drop, so it might be advantageous to them, but not surprising, at least, to think of. I think Halo esports will be dead by the end of the year. I really do.
I wish it would die and then come back as a phoenix with something else, you know, like just under new management or something. Like,
if the next game is being made by 343, there's gonna be no hype around it.
Like, they need to do something. Microsoft is sitting on a gold mine that they're just completely shitting the bed with.
For as smart as we think Microsoft is when it comes to gaming decisions, when we talk about Game Pass and the acquisition of Activision and all that, it's some really dumb things that they do too. And I would think leaving 343 in charge of what's going on here is like a prime example of that.
Yeah, definitely. In Battle Royale news, Nick Merckx given an automatic invite to the Apex Pro League without competing in all the circuits.
And like, granted, they placed top 10 in 2 of the closed qualifiers and like did really good. And I think they're good enough to like compete at the pro level. I really do. His team's pretty freaking stacked. The uproar is that they didn't compete in the qualifiers. And so to those people that are upset, to them I say, get over it. This is like a battle royale game. This is the biggest streamer in the world currently, or a top 3, streamer when it comes to FPS games, and he wants to participate in your league. Yeah, and in fact, if like 3 other streamers that were almost as big as him asked me for the same thing, probably let them in without even seeing them compete, because like all it's gonna do is boost numbers for your event. The first Apex Pro League event with Nick Merckx will break all previous Apex records when it comes to Pro League play. It's not a bad move. And they're good. So it doesn't even matter.
Signing with the Live Tour. Pretty much. In other news, let's play a game. Who will survive? What will happen first? Episode 400 or E United not being an esports org anymore? Will E United see episode 400?
It's like this org just feels like it's doomed, unfortunately, and I feel bad because like they don't deserve it. I like E United.
I like E United.
I do. Like, I truly do, and
I feel like they have done everything right to support games that are not necessarily the most popular, like typically like console games, but they've even dabbled in CS, right? I feel like they've done everything right.
They've tried and just been hit with bad luck. Not getting invited to CDL, slap in the face, because that org had just come off of a champs win, and they were a good, like, popular team, like people liked them, and not getting that invite hurt them. Them getting accepted into Halo was a proud moment for them, to only realize that, shit, the one big game that we got invited into is now a dead game, so we're not going to generate revenue there. Like I said, Counter-Strike, unfortunately, it was NA based and they weren't getting the best players, so that wasn't going to survive in the way CS is on the NA side for pro teams. So
And
just
now,
like bad luck.
and now they announced that they're backing out of Rocket League. So it's
running low on options here for these guys.
On their website, the only active team that they have at the moment is Halo. Though on Twitter, they did just recently tweet about a PUBG team. So I guess they do have a PUBG team and at least a Halo team.
They did. It was a PUBG Mobile, but they were based out of India, so they're no longer. They're all in jail.
Oh, really?
It's a joke. No,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised with all those.
We'll talk about that next week.
Okay, we're saving that. I like it. I like it. Little tease ahead. FaZe Clan are officially public for the U.S. Stock Exchange under FaZe, go figure, on the NASDAQ.
Kind of cool. I know they're getting ripped for the price going down, but that's kind of common. All these people tweeting about the stock market right now in the esports world is like so irritating.
All of a sudden,
esports shit.
They're all of a sudden
Jake
stock
Lucky,
experts.
all these guys. I'm kind of curious to see what happens. Bro, you don't even know what's happening to begin with, so let's not pretend like we do and just kind of, give this a moment. It's still a cool moment for that organization.
Yes,
and
yeah. I'll buy some just so I can make the joke that I'm part owner.
No, why not? Don't throw too much in. But.
Phase up. No, like a share. What is that? Like $1 now?
Like $9.
$9, I think is what I actually saw. And good news for all of our Xbox friends. Discord is officially coming to Xbox.
How the hell does that happen for Xbox before it happens for PlayStation? When PlayStation was an investor in Discord, like over a year ago, they partnered up with Discord.
Is it not? I think you can.
No, it's not. It's
No?
not. You're not able to get on from our friend Ashish.
Oh, I guess
is
you're
on
right.
PlayStation,
Right. And he still has to do the whole phone
still has
bit.
to do the phone thing. So the fact that Xbox is getting it before PlayStation was able to implement it, kind of weird. Like I don't even know how that happens.
I'm happy. I know we have a few Xbox console buddies that, as gaming works, if your friend plays on a console and you play on a PC, you just kind of lose your friendship with them.
No, this is great. I love it.
This is awesome.
I hope PlayStation is able to do it soon too. This is like, I mean, that's fantastic if you ask me.
No, I'm super
all
excited.
The cross-play integration we're seeing, like this had to happen.
I mean, even just for like us chatting, it's like just for the sake of like, yo, you're playing a game, we're on a game, get in Discord, come chill, right? That's the best case scenario. So there you have it. There's all of eNews. What an incredible eNews it was. What an incredible episode it was. Episode 393. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you everyone for listening. Whether you skipped around or listened to the whole darn thing, love you all the same. We will be back Sunday, probably. Monday. I'm going back to our two shows a week schedule. Monday. We'll be back Monday talking more esports. We have the Valorant Copenhagen second half of the playoffs, however you want to word it.
Should be done. It'll be done on Monday, right?
That will be done by Monday. So the champions are on Sunday. So we will discuss how that finished and wrapped up. And whatever else. Yikes of the week. If you got any yikes of the week, let us know. If you have any talking topics that you want us to go over, let us know as well, and we'll cover that in these last handful of episodes. But that is for then. This is now. And for now, we are done. Follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Join our Discord. All that fun stuff. Come play games with us. But for Anuj, I'm Tim. Love your face. See ya. Bye. Perfect. All right, everyone in chat. Everyone in chat, love you. I'm going to end the stream so we can get to editing, and I can go watch Ozark. So peace out, homies.
God bless. One love.